I've heard this term Frankenstein marketing. Can you give me kind of an idea of what that really is and how it gets so bad?
Well, I've heard that, that phrase a number of times. And what people are really talking about is perhaps someone in the field is desperate to get something done, and they end up resorting to pulling together pieces of material that weren't really designed to go together. So very much like, Frankenstein's monster in the famous book. They're just putting bits together. They're stitching them together. They feel perhaps, they've done a good job. They've been very practical. But the problem is when that goes out into market, maybe they've made a mistake. Maybe they didn't have image rights to sort of the talent shots they were using. Maybe they are using the old logo. Maybe they're using pieces which have been, there's a brand guideline somewhere that says those pieces don't go together. And that can be very disconcerting. We've heard stories, particularly in retail, where people don't really, perhaps they're doing packaging, they're putting packaging together. The centre didn't see it until it's out on the shelf. So they'll send teams around to go and take photographs of how the merchandising is happening. And they'll find something, to their minds, horrendous that's got out there. But again, it's all too late. And of course, you can be chipping away at the brand. And this can particularly happen perhaps in emerging markets where there isn't so much control. And again, as we said before, people are trying to get the job done. But, sometimes the compromises aren't really worth making. The brand is very, very important. It's in some cases, it is the most important thing to make sure that you're consistent in the consumer's mind.
So who's struggling the most in this? Is it brand managers or is it external localized resources?
Both sides are frustrated because the brand managers want to execute the brand and the campaigns that they've thought about. They want them to be executed in market correctly. And of course, the local marketers are frustrated because they're desperate for material. There's so many channels they've got to cover all the time. They've got deadlines to hit. They've got sales targets that they need to be supporting. And, again, you can't keep waiting for perfect all the time. And, that's the way they see it. So they've got to try and get something done. So both sides are very, very frustrated. And then the more it gets pulled to the centre, the outside gets frustrated because there's a bottleneck in the centre. If you decentralise it, then the centre gets frustrated because they can't see what's going on and they've got no visibility. So it's kind of a slightly lose-lose if you're not careful.
This is kind of what's wrong with brand management then.
Unfortunately, at the moment, it's a very difficult thing. It seems simple, it seems straightforward, but in fact, it's all about the detail. Any little mistake anywhere can kind of really, really, get everything off track.
What's the worst thing that can happen? How bad can it get?
Well, I suppose the worst thing that can happen, as we sort of mentioned a moment ago, is really, making a mistake with terms and conditions, pricing, claims. These can be, they can be lawsuits. It can be very, very difficult. Particularly, claims on products have to be accurate. So you can't make a claim on a product that isn't accurate in the market, and there has to be evidence to back that up. Pricing, obviously, it can be serious, but anything you can, as we talked about, you could use perhaps a culturally insensitive image in a certain market, that won't play. And you can think of different markets where that would be the case. You can use the wrong tone to talk to the market. You've got lack of consistency. You've got something where you're running something and it's to match, perhaps an international media campaign or a countrywide media campaign, and you're not matching the styling. We've probably all seen that, but where something's running and the packaging doesn't match or the posters don't match. And again, it can be very jarring to the public. So it can be, little minor annoyances like that to, wholesale mistakes which are, super costly.
Which are occurring in mass.
Absolutely.